Okay, Prabhu. I will. Do you want me to share the screen with those songs, and then you'll start with the Jai Radha Madhav?
Yeah, we'll start with Mangala Charan, Prabhu.
We'll start with Mangalacharan.
Let me know when it's okay to start.
Yes, Prabhu. You can start now.
Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to the Wednesday evening program and of broadcast from ISKCON Silicon Valley. And I would like to start with the Mangala Charan prayers. That is basically paying obeisances and offering gratitude to the previous acharyas and the great teachers who brought down the empiric knowledge. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijanaha Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantam Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Satta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evata Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yeah, that's all right. Prabhu Matsamo Nasti Papatma Naparadhi Chakastana Harihari Pilajjame Kim Dhruve Purushottamaha Yuvatinam Yatha Yuni Yunam Cha Yuvatau Yatha Manobhiramate Tadvan Manome Ramatam Tvai Mumoskalitapadanam Bhumirevavalambanam Tvai Jata Paradhanam Ameva Sharanam Prabho Govinda Vallabhe Radhe Prarthaye Tvamaham Sada Padiyam iti janatu Govindo Mam Tvaya Saha Radhe Vrindavanadhishe Karunamritavahini Kripaya Nija Padabjad Dasham Mayham Padiyatam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Now should I go to Jai Radha Madhav, Prabhu?
That's 1 second. It's okay. We'd like to pay my most respectful obeisances to my spiritual master, His Holiness Vaisheshik Das Adhikari Maharaj, by whose mercy we are trying to practice Krishna consciousness, and the processes that are given in practicing Krishna consciousness. Two of them most prominent are Shravanam and Kirtanam. So we are indebted to the founder Acharya of ISKCON, His Divine Grace, Vaicharanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and his prominent disciples, and who have basically extended enormous amount of work in creating these facilities and programs where everybody can come together and engage in listening and glorifying the Lord, and that is such a center here in Silicon Valley is situated in Mountain View, California, from where we are broadcasting and where we are practicing. So we welcome you all to this Wednesday program. Yeah, Prabhu, we can go to the Dasavatar Stotram. So Kartik is about to begin. So we thought today we will try to read and glorify the Lord and His opulences, and how He actually comes and also becomes a part of this universe in various ways, and in each of those forms He basically he comes and displays and his opulences and establishes dharma, and also basically gives joy and satisfaction to his dear devotees. So such a song here is the Shavatar Stotram, where various incarnations of Lord Krishna are depicted. We will do the translations first, Prabhu. In the end, there will be translations. Yeah. Translation: O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a fish, all glories to you. You easily acted as a boat in the form of a giant fish, just to give protection to the Vedas, which had become immersed in the turbulent sea of devastation. Text 2. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a tortoise, all glories to you. In this incarnation as a divine tortoise, the great Mandara mountain rests upon your gigantic back, and as a pivot for churning the ocean of milk. From holding up the huge mountain, a large scar-like depression is put on your back, which has become most glorious. 3. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a boar, all glories to you. The earth, which had become submerged in the Garbhodak ocean at the bottom of the universe, sits fixed up upon the tip of your tusk like a spot on the moon. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of half man, half lion, all glories to you. Lust as one can easily Just as one can easily crush a wasp between one's fingernails, so in the same way, the body of the wasp, like demon Hiranyakashipu, has been ripped apart by the wonderful pointed nails on your beautiful lotus hands. Number 5, O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a dwarf Brahmana, all glories to you. O wonderful dwarf, by your massive steps, you deceive King Bali, and by the Ganges water that has emanated from the nails of your lotus feet, you deliver all the living beings within this world. 6. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Bhrigupati, Parashuram, all glories to you. At Kurukshetra, you bathed the earth in the rivers of blood from the bodies of the demoniac Kshatriyas that you have slain. The sins of the world are washed away by you, and because of you, people are relieved from the blazing fire of material existence. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who has assumed the form of Ramachandra, all glories to you. In the battle of Lanka, you destroy the 10-headed demon Ravan and distribute his heads as a delightful offering to the presiding deities of 10 directions, headed by Indra. This action was long desired by all of them, who were much harassed by this monster. Number 8, O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Balaram, the yielder of the prow of the plow, all glories to you. On your brilliant white body, you wear garments of the color of a fresh blue rain cloud. These garments are colored like the beautiful dark hue of the Yamuna river, of river Yamuna, who feels great fear due to the striking of your plowshare. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Buddha, all glories to you. O Buddha of compassionate heart, you decree the slaughtering of poor animals perf- perf- performed according to the rules of the Vedic sacrifice. Number 10, O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Kalki, all glories to you. You appear like a comet and carry a terrifying sword for bringing about the annihilation of the wicked barbarian men at the end of Kali Yuga. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed these 10 different forms of incarnations, all glories to you. O readers, please hear this hymn of the poet Jayadeva, which is most excellent, an awarder of happiness, a bestower of auspiciousness, and it is the best thing in this dark world. Number 12, O Lord Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you who appear in the forms of these 10 incarnations. In the form of Matsya, you rescue the Vedas, and as Kurma, you bear Mandara mountain on your back. As Varaha, you lift the earth with your tusks, and in the form of Nrsimha, you tear open the chest of Daitya Hiranyakashipu. In the form of Vamana, you trick the Daitya king Bali by asking him for 3 steps of land, and then you take away the whole universe from him by expanding your steps. As Parashuram, you slay all the wicked Kshatriyas, and as a Ramachandra, you conquer the Rakshasa King Ravana. In the form of Balaram, you carry a plow with which you subdue the wicked and draw toward you the river Yamuna. As Lord Buddha, you show compassion toward all the living beings suffering in this world, and at the end of Kali Yuga, you appear as Kalki to bewilder the Malechas, degraded low-class men. Okay, we can now sing. Pralaya Prayodhi Jale Vahita Vahita Charita Kesharadrita Nisharita
Prabhuji, we cannot hear your voice. Your voice has gone down when you started singing.
I'm not sure why, Prabhu, but when I'm speaking, is it okay?
Yeah, now it is, you're speaking, it is very clear.
Okay, then maybe then you can hear Mridanga more. Is that the case?
No, even Mridanga also we are not able to. It's like the voice is coming choppy.
Oh, I'm not sure why then. But we will sing as it comes now because we really.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether we can try something else or not. But
no, even I don't know.
Yeah, that's all right, Prabhu.
Yeah,
We'll sing as it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can, as part of today's reading, we will be reading the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It's titled "Opulences of the Opulence of the Absolute." You can do the detailed. Yeah. Bhagavad Gita 10, chapter 10. This chapter is also for Vibhuti Yoga, and Vibhuti is termed as opulence, basically. So opulences of the Supreme Lord. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Bhuyavam Mahabaho Shunu Paramam Vachaha Satyeham Priyamanaya Vakshami Hitakamya. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty Arjuna, because you are my dear friend, and because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving the knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." Purport. By His Divine Grace, Desi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The word Bhagavan is explained thus by Parasar Muni, one who is full in 6 opulences, who has all strength, full fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation is Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Krishna was present on this earth, he displayed all 6 opulences. Therefore, great sages like Parasar Muni have all accepted Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Krishna is instructing Arjuna in more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. Previously, beginning with the 7th chapter, the Lord has already explained his different energies and how they are acting. Now, in this chapter, he explains his specific opulences to Arjuna. In the previous chapter, he has clearly explained his different energies to establish devotion in firm conviction. Again, in this chapter, he tells Arjuna about his manifestations and various opulences. The more one hears about the Supreme God, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. One should always hear about the Lord in the association of the devotees. That will enhance one's devotional service. Discourses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness. To be in Krishna consciousness. Sorry. Others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place. So, in the seventh, eighth, and ninth chapter, seventh chapter basically, these middle six chapters of Bhagavad Gita, they are basically signs of devotional service, and they are talking about Bhakti Yoga in detail. And in the previous chapters, as Prabhupada is mentioning here, that Lord has explained about his various energies and how the material nature works under his supervision, and how remaining here in this material world, how one can be Krishna conscious and be always engaged in the devotional mood or in devotional service. And here it's also mentioning that these discourses in this society of devotees can take place only among who are really basically anxious to hear about Lord Krishna, and how they can deepen their understanding and their love towards Krishna. So these chapters really bind one's faith and also teach a great deal of the education and the details about the process and some of the nuances that you can pick up from here. These details, that how you can experience the Lord in day-to-day life. I'll go to the next verse, Prabhu. So here basically Lord Krishna is continuing and saying, Name viduhu surgana surganaha prabhavam cha namaharshaya aham adirhi devanam maharishinam cha sarvasaha. Translation: Neither of the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages. Therefore, as stated in Brahma Samhita, Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. No one is greater than him. He is the cause of all causes. Here it is also stated by the Lord personally that he is the cause of all the demigods and sages. Even the demigods and great sages cannot understand Krishna. They can understand neither his name nor his personality. So what is the position of the so-called scholars of this tiny planet. No one can understand why this Supreme God comes to earth as an ordinary human being and executes such wonderful, uncommon activities. One should know then that the scholarship is not the qualification necessary to understand Krishna. Even the demigods and great sages have tried to understand Krishna by their mental speculation and they have failed to do so. In Srimad Bhagavatam, also it is clearly said that even the great demigods are not able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They can speculate to the limits of their imperfect senses and can reach the opposite conclusion of impersonalism, of something not manifested by the three qualities of material nature, or they can imagine something by mental speculation. But it is not possible to understand Krishna by such foolish speculation. Here the Lord indirectly says that if anyone wants to know the absolute truth, here I am present as Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am the Supreme. One should know this. Although one cannot understand the inconceivable Lord who is personally present, he nonetheless exists. We can actually understand Krishna, who is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, simply by studying his words in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The conception of God as someone, as some ruling power, or as the impersonal Brahman can be reached by the person who are in the inferior energy of the Lord. But the personality of Godhead cannot be conceived unless one is in the transcendental position. Because most men cannot understand Krishna in his actual situation, out of his causeless mercy, he descends to show the favor to such speculators. Yet, despite the Supreme Lord's uncommon activities, these speculators, due to contamination in their material energy, still think that the impersonal Brahman is the Supreme. Only the devotee who are fully surrendered unto the Supreme Lord can understand by the grace of the Supreme Personality that he is Krishna. The devotees of the Lord do not bother about the impersonal Brahman conception of God. Their faith and devotion bring them to surrender immediately unto the Supreme Lord, and out of the causeless mercy of Krishna, they can understand Krishna. No one else can understand him. So even great sages agree. What is Atma? What is the Supreme? It is he to whom we worship. It is he whom we have to worship. Okay, next. Text 3. Yo mam janmadim yo mam ajam anadim cha veti lokamaheshwaram asammudha samrityeshu sarvapapai pramuchyate. He who knows me as unborn, as the beginningless, as the Supreme Lord of all worlds, he only, undeluded among men, is free from all sins. So just by knowing the position of Krishna as unborn, beginningless, and as the Supreme Lord of all three worlds, one can get delivered and get to the realm of Supreme. Purport as stated in the 7th chapter 7.3. Manushyanam sahasresu kaschid yatati siddhaye Those who are trying to elevate themselves to the platform of spiritual realization are not ordinary men. Excuse me. They are superior to millions and millions of the ordinary men who have no knowledge of spiritual realization. But out of those actually trying to understand their spiritual situation, one who can come to the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the proprietor of everything, the unborn, is the most successful spiritually realized person. In that stage only, when one has fully understood Krishna's supreme position, one can be free completely from the sinful reactions. Here, the Lord is described as Aja, meaning unborn, but he is distinct from the living entities who are described in the second chapter of second chapter as Aja as well. So the Lord is different from the living entity who are taking birth and dying due to the material attachment. The conditioned souls are changing their bodies, but his body is not changeable. Even when he comes to this material world, he comes as the same unborn. Therefore, in the fourth chapter, it is said that the Lord, by his internal potency, is not under the inferior material energy, but is always in the superior energy. In this verse, the word Veti, Loka Maheshwaram, indicate that one should know that Lord Krishna is supreme proprietor of the planetary systems of the universe. He was existing before the creation and he is different from his creation. All the demigods were created within this material world. But as far as Krishna is concerned, it is said that he is not created. Therefore, Krishna is different even from the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. And because he is the creator of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods, he is the supreme person of all planets. Sri Krishna is therefore different from everything that is created. And anyone who knows him as such immediately becomes liberated from the sinful reactions. One must be liberated from all sinful activities to be in the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Only by devotional service can he be known and not by any other means, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. One should not try to understand Krishna as a human being, as stated previously. Only a foolish person thinks him to be a human being. This is again expressed here in a different way. A man who is not foolish, who is intelligent enough to understand the constitutional position of the Godhead, is always free from all sinful reactions. If Krishna is known as son of Devaki, then how can he be unborn? That is also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. When he appeared before Devaki and Vasudeva, he was not born as an ordinary child. He appeared in his original form, and then he transformed himself into an ordinary child. Anything done under the direction of Krishna is transcendental. It cannot be contaminated by material reactions, which may be auspicious or inauspicious. The conception that there are things auspicious and inauspicious in the material world is more or less a mental concoction, because there is nothing auspicious in the material world. Everything is inauspicious because the very material nature is inauspicious. We simply imagine it to be auspicious. Real auspiciousness depends on the activities in Krishna consciousness in full in devotion and service. Therefore, if we all want our activities to be auspicious, then we should work under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Such directions are given in the authoritative scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, or from a bona fide spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is the representative of the Supreme Lord, his direction is directly the direction of Supreme Lord. The spiritual master, saintly persons, and scriptures direct in the same way. There is no contradiction in these three sources. All actions done under such direction are free from the reactions of pious and impious activities of this material world. The transcendental attitude of the devotee in the performance of activities is actually that of renunciation, and it is called sannyasa. As stated in the first verse of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, one who acts as a matter of duty because he has been ordered to do so by the Supreme Lord, and who does not seek shelter in the fruits of his activities. Anashritaha karma phalam is true renouncer. Is true renouncer. Anyone acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord is actually a sannyasi and a yogi, and not the man who has simply taken the dress of a sannyasi or a pseudo yogi. Okay, next verse, Prabhu. Verse 4 and 5. Buddhir jnana sammoha kshama satyam dama shamaha dukkam dukkam bhavo bhayam cha bhayameva cha ahimsa samata santusti tapodanam yasho yasaha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva pratakridaha. Translation: intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. Therefore, the different qualities of living beings, be they good or bad, are all created by Krishna and they are described here. Intelligence refers to the power to analyze things in their proper perspective. And knowledge refers to understanding what is spirit and what is matter. Ordinary knowledge obtained by university education pertains only to matter, and it is not accepted here as knowledge. Knowledge means knowing the distinction between spirit and matter. In modern education, there is no knowledge about spirit. They are simply taking care of material elements and bodily needs. Therefore, academic knowledge is not complete. Asammoha, freedom from doubt and delusion, can be achieved when one is not hesitant and when he understands the transcendental philosophy. Slowly but surely, he can become free from bewilderment. Nothing should be accepted blindly. Everything should be accepted with care and with caution. Kshama, tolerance, and forgiveness should be practiced. One should be tolerant and excuse the and excuse the minor offenses of others. Satyam, truthfulness, means that facts should be presented as they are for the benefit of others. Facts should not be misinterpreted. According to social convention, it is said that one can speak the truth only when it is palatable to others. But that is not truthfulness. The truth should be spoken in a straightforward way so that others will understand actually what the facts are. If a man is a thief and if people are warned that he is a thief, that is truth. Although sometimes the truth is unpalatable, one should not refrain from speaking it. Truthfulness demands that the facts be presented as they are for the benefit of others. That is the definition of truth. So here, Prabhupada is giving the true and uh, I would say bhakti applicable definition of various qualities as we read here. Control of senses means that the sense should not be used for unnecessary personal enjoyment. There is no prohibition against meeting the proper needs of the senses, but unnecessary sense enjoyment is detrimental for the spiritual advancement. Therefore, the senses should be restrained from unnecessary use. Similarly, one should restrain the mind from unnecessary thoughts. That is called sama. One should not spend one's time pondering over earning money. That is a misuse of thinking power. The mind should be used to understand the prime necessity of human beings, and that should be presented authoritatively. The power of thought should be developed in association with persons who are authorities in the scriptures, saintly persons and spiritual masters, and those whose thinking is highly developed. Sukham, pleasure or happiness, should always be in that which is favorable for cultivation of the spiritual knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And similarly, that which is painful or which causes distress is that which is unfavorable for cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Anything favorable for development of Krishna consciousness should be accepted, and anything unfavorable should be rejected. Bhava, birth, should be understood to refer to the body. As far as the soul is concerned, there is neither birth nor death, that we have discussed in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Birth and death apply to one's embodiment in the material world. Fear is due to worrying about the future. A person in Krishna consciousness has no fear because by his activities, he is sure to go back to spiritual sky, back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, his future is very bright. Others, however, do not know what their future holds. They have no knowledge of the next life, of what the next life holds. So they are therefore in constant anxiety. If we want to get free from anxiety, then the best course is to understand Krishna and be situated always in Krishna consciousness. In that way, we will be free from all fear. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.37, it is stated, Bhayam dvitya bhiniveshatasha. Fear is caused by absorption in the illusory energy. But those who are free from illusory energy those who are confident that they are not material body, that they are spiritual parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who are therefore engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Godhead, have nothing to fear. Their future is very bright. This fear is a condition of persons who are not in Krishna consciousness. Abhayam, fearlessness, is possible only for one in Krishna consciousness. Ahimsa, non-violence, means that one should not do anything which will put others into misery or confusion. Material activities that are promised by so many politicians, sociologists, philanthropists, etc., do not produce very good results because their politicians and philanthropists have no because the politicians and philanthropists have no transcendental vision. They do not know what is actually beneficial for the human society. Ahimsa means that people should be trained in such a way that the full utilization of human body can be achieved. The human body is meant for spiritual realization, for any movement or any commissions which do not further that end commit violence on the human body. That which furthers the future spiritual happiness of the people in general is called non-violence. Prabhupada has these definitions that are basically quite eye-opening, and if we look in detail, they really are true that for development of the devotional service and for continuation of the devotional service, these are really helpful definitions. We should look into them. Samatha or equanimity refers to freedom from attachment and aversion. To be very much attached or to be very much detached is not the best. The material world should be accepted without attachment or aversion. That which is favorable for prosecuting Krishna consciousness should be accepted. That which is unfavorable should be rejected. That is called samatha, equanimity. A person in Krishna consciousness has nothing to reject and nothing to accept, except save in terms of its usefulness in prosecution prosecution of Krishna consciousness. Tushti, satisfaction, means that one should not be eager to gather more and more material goods by unnecessary activity. One should be satisfied with whatever is obtained by the grace of the Supreme Lord. That is called satisfaction. Tapas means austerity or penance. There are many rules and regulations in the Vedas which apply here, like rising early in the morning and taking a bath. Sometimes it is very troublesome to rise early in the morning, but whatever voluntary trouble one may suffer in this way is called penance. Similarly, there are prescriptions for fasting on certain days of the month. One may not be inclined to practice such fasting, but because of his determination to make advancement in science of Krishna consciousness, he should accept such bodily troubles when they are recommended. However, one should not fast unnecessarily or against Vedic injunctions. One should not fast for some political purpose that is described in Bhagavad Gita as fasting in ignorance. And anything done in ignorance or passion does not lead to spiritual advancement. Everything done in the mode of goodness does advance one. However, and fasting done in terms of of the Vedic injunctions enriches one in spiritual knowledge. As far as charity is concerned, one should give 50% of his earnings to some good cause. And what is a good cause? It is that which is conducted in terms of Krishna consciousness. That is not only a good cause, but the best cause. Because Krishna is good, his cause is also good. Thus, charity should be given to a person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness. According to the Vedic literature, it is enjoined that the charity should be given to the Brahmanas. This practice is still followed, although not very nicely in terms of Vedic injunction. But still, the injunction is that the charity should be given to the Brahmana. Why? Because they are engaged in the higher cultivation of spiritual knowledge. A Brahmana is supposed to devote his whole life to understanding Brahma. Brahma janati iti brahmanaha. One who knows Brahma is a Brahmana. Thus, charity is offered to the Brahmanas because they are always engaged in the higher spiritual service and have no time to earn their livelihood. In the Vedic literature, charity is also to be awarded to one in the renounced order of life, the sannyasi. The sannyasi is begged from door to door and not for money. Door to door, not for money, but for missionary purposes. The system is that they go from door to awaken the householders from slumber of ignorance, because the householders are engaged in family affairs and have forgotten their actual purpose in life, awakening their Krishna consciousness. It is the business of the sannyasis to go as beggars to the householders and encourage them to be Krishna consciousness. As it is said in the Vedas, one should awake and achieve what is due him in this human form of life. This knowledge and method is distributed by sannyasis. Hence, charity is to be given to the renouncer of life, to the brahmanas and similar good causes, not to any whimsical causes. Yes, Yasas fame should be according to Lord Chaitanya, who said that a man is famous when he is known as a great devotee. That's real fame. If one has become a great man in Krishna consciousness and it is known, then he is surely famous. One who does not have such fame is infamous. All three qualities are manifest throughout the universe in human society and in society of the demigods. All these qualities are manifest throughout the universe in human society and in the society of the demigods. There are many forms of humanity on other planets, and these qualities are there. Now, for one who wants to advance in Krishna consciousness, Krishna creates all these qualities, but the person develops them himself from within. One who engages in devotional service of the Supreme Lord develops all good qualities as arranged by the Supreme Lord. Of whatever we find, good or bad, the origin is Krishna. Nothing can manifest itself in this world which is not in Krishna. That is knowledge. Although we know that things are differently situated, we should realize that everything flows from Krishna. Our next verse. Text 6. Maharshaya Saptapurve Chatvaro Manavastata Madhava manasa jata yesham loka ima prajaha. Translation: the seven great sages and before them the four great sages and Manus, progenitors of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. Therefore, the Lord is giving a genealogical synopsis of the universal population. Brahma is the creator, it is the original creature born out born out of the energy of Supreme Lord, who is known as Hiranyagarbha. And from Brahma, all the seven great sages, and before them, four other great sages named Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara, and the 14 Manus are manifested. All these 25 great sages are known as the Prajapatis, uh, uh, patriarchs, sorry, as the patriarch of the living entities all over the universe. There are innumerable universes and innumerable planets within each universe. And each planet is full of population of different varieties. All of them are born of these 25 patriarchs. Brahma underwent penance for 1000 years of demigods before he realized by the grace of Krishna how to create. Then from Brahma came Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara, then Rudra, and then seven sages. And in this way, all the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are born out of the energy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahma is known as Pitamaha, the grandfather. The Krishna is known as Parpitamaha, the father of grandfather. That is stated in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 1139. Okay, next. Etam vibhutim yogam cha mamayo veti tattvataha. So avikalpena yogena vijjate natra sansayaha. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this, there is no doubt. Purpose. Purport. The highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulences of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. Generally, people know that God is great, but they do not know in detail how God is great. Here are the details. If one knows factually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. When one factually knows the opulences of the Supreme, there is no alternative but to surrender to Him. This factual knowledge can be known from descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and similar literatures. So this is really an important point here that to take up devotional service, something which is basically a surrendering attitude has to develop somehow, and knowing or hearing about the qualities of or the construct of the things around us actually develops a faith which is needed in order to develop a sense of submission, and also recognize the greatness of the Supreme that exists out there. So that is why listening to the opulences, or listening to the activities, or the Leela of the Lord, actually, that is very necessary. But it generates that faith, that shraddha towards the Lord. And once the seed of that is has taken root in one's heart, then it grows from there, and essentially, prompts one to either to hear more, listen more, or at some point convince one to basically surrender. And that is Prabhupada saying here that if one knows factually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. When one factually knows the opulences of the Lord, there is no alternative but to surrender to Him. So that's a great point. That is a really important point here, that one should hear, and one should hear from the authentic source, such as uh, or as sources, as Prabhupada mentioned in the previous report here, like Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Those three, and the beautiful point, or a reality check there, is that these three authorities will never speak a different thing about the truth. Their conclusions, their language may be different, uh, their uh, their wording may be a little different here and there, but the conclusion will never change. That is the beauty, and that is the power and purity that produces the change in the hearer, or convinces uh, him or her to a level that generates this surrendering attitude. And that is the beginning. So hearing is really, really important. So we'll be continuing. In the administration of this universe, there are many demigods distributed throughout the planetary system, and the chief of them are Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the four great Kumaras, and other patriarchs. There are many forefathers of the population of the universe, and all of them are born of the Supreme Lord Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original forefather of all forefathers. These are some of the opulences of the Lord. When one is firmly convinced about them, he accepts Krishna with great faith and without any doubt, and he engages in devotional service. All this particular knowledge is required in order to increase one's interest in the loving devotional service of the Lord. One should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is, and by knowing the greatness of Krishna, one will be able to be fixed in sincere devotional service. Next. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate himatva bhajante man buddha bhava samanditaha. Translation: I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this, engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Purport: a learned scholar who has studied the Vedas perfectly and has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya, and who knows how to apply these teachings can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds. And because he knows this perfectly, he becomes firmly fixed in devotional service of the Supreme Lord. He can never be deviated by any amount of nonsensical commentaries by the fools. All Vedic literature agrees that Krishna is the source of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods. In the Atharva Veda, Gopal Tapni Upanishad 124, it is said, Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam, Yo Vai Vedams Cha Gapayati Sma Krishna. It was Krishna who in the beginning instructed Brahma in the Vedic knowledge and who disseminated Vedic knowledge in the past. Then again, in Narayana Upanishad 1 says, Atha Purusho Havai Narayano Kamayata Prajaha Sajjeti. Then the Supreme Personality Narayana desired to create living entities. The Upanishad continues. Narayanad Brahma Jayate, Narayanaj Pradapati Jayate, Narayanaj Indro Jayate, Narayanad Astau Vasavo Jayante, Narayanad Ekadasha Rudra Jayante, Narayanad Dwadasha Adityaha. From Narayana, Brahma is born, and from Narayana, the patriarchs are born. From Narayana, Indra is born. From Narayana, the 8 Vasus are born. From Narayana, the 11 Rudras are born. From Narayana, the 12 Adityas are born. This Narayana is an extension of Krishna. It is said in the same Veda, it is said in the same Vedas, Brahmanyo Devaki Putraha, the son of Devaki, Krishna, is the Supreme Personality. Narayana Upanishad 4. Then it is said, Eko Vai Narayana Asim Na Brahma Naishano Na Ishano Napo Nagni Somau Na Agni Somau Neme Dvayaya Aprithvi Na Nakshatrani na Surya. In the beginning of the creation, there was only the Supreme Personality Narayana. There was no Brahma, no Shiva, no water, no fire, no moon, no heaven and earth, no stars in the sky, no sun. Maha Upanishad 1-2. In the Maha Upanishad, it is also said that Lord Shiva is born from the forehead of Supreme Lord. Thus, the Vedas say that it is the Supreme Lord, the creator of Brahma and Shiva, who is to be worshipped. In the Moksha Dharma section of Mahabharata, Krishna also says, Prajapatim cha rudram chapi, Prajapatim cha rudram chapi, Ahameva srijamyavai, Tauhi mam na Tauhi mam na vigyani tau Mama Maya Vimohitau. The patriarchs, Shiva and others are created by me, though they do not know that they are created by me because they are deluded by my energy. In the Varaha Purana it says, Narayanaha Paro Veda Tasmat jatas tasmad rudro abhavat devaha sa cha sarvagyatam gataha sarvagyatam gataha. Narayana is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and from him Brahma was born, from, from whom Shiva was born. Lord Krishna is the source of all generations, and he is called the most efficient cause of everything. He says, because everything is born of me, I am the original source of all. Everything is under me. No one is above me. There is no supreme controller other than Krishna. One who understands Krishna in such a way, from a bona fide spiritual master with references from the Vedic literature, engages all his energy in Krishna consciousness and becomes a truly learned man. In comparison to him, all others who do not know Krishna properly are but fools. Only a fool would consider Krishna to be an ordinary man. A Krishna consciousness person should not be bewildered by fools. He should avoid all unauthorized commentaries and interpretations on Bhagavad Gita and proceed in Krishna consciousness with determination and firmness. Next. 10.9. Sorry, can you pull a little bit up? Yeah. Matchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Translation: the thoughts of my pure devotee dwell in me. They, their lives are fully devoted to me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another by conversing about me. Purport: pure devotees whose characteristics are mentioned here engage themselves fully in transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be delivered from lotus feet of cannot be diverted, sorry. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specifically. Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees. In preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from service itself, and in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of God. Once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection, which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. Lord Chaitanya likens transcendental devotional service in sowing a seed in the heart of the living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe, and out of them, there are a few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get a chance to understand devotional service. This devotional service is just like a seed, and if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that seed fructifies, just as the seed of a tree fructifies with the regular watering. The spiritual plant of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the coverings of the material universe and enters into the Brahma Jyoti effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky, also, that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Golok Vrindavan, the supreme planet of Krishna. Ultimately, the plant takes the shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there. Gradually, as a part grows, gradually as a plant grows fruits and flowers, that plant of devotional service also produces fruits, and the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. The plant of devotional service is fully described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 19. It is explained there that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in love of God. Then he cannot live even a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord. Just as a fish cannot live without water, in such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord. The Srimad Bhagavatam is also full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam is very dear to the devotees. It is stated in Bhagavatam itself 12, 13, 18. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. In this narration, there is nothing about material activities, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described. Thus, the realized soul in Krishna consciousness take the continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literatures, just as a young boy and girl take pleasure in the association.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
So the class ends at 8:30, but if you want, we can read one more verse if you want.
Sure, Prabhu. Let's go ahead and read one more. Let's see what is the next verse. So, chapter 10, verse 10. Tesham satata yuktanam ajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. Translation: to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So these are all quintessential and very, very faith-giving, sweet verses here that Lord Krishna is speaking. In this verse, the word Buddhi Yogam is very significant. We may remember that in the second chapter, the Lord instructing Arjuna said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of Buddhi Yoga. Now Buddhi Yoga is explained. Buddhi Yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness, that is the highest intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence and yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and takes fully to Krishna consciousness in devotional service, his action is called Buddhi Yoga. In other words, Buddhi Yoga is the process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress in Krishna, People do not know this. Therefore, the association of the devotees and the bona fide spiritual master are important. One should know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed, and the ultimate goal is achieved. When a person knows the goal of life but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in karma yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna, but he takes pleasure in mental speculation to understand Krishna, he is acting in jnana yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga, which is the complete yoga. This complete yoga is highest perfectional stage of life. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, but if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that the person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attains to him. Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees, for listening. And I would. This is a this actually we could not complete the whole chapter, but the Lord further describes his presence and his opulences in this whole chapter. It's a very sweet chapter. So I would recommend you go in and read at least the translations of the chapter. But Prabhupada's purports are really eye-opening, and as we read through few of them, he makes very sweet and strong points for one to take initial steps and then progress in Krishna consciousness as much as one likes. And the readings and his realizations are really important. And by the mercy of the Lord, he has extended himself in such a way that this knowledge is now available to one and all. So we should take advantage of that. I would like to conclude with that, and also I would like to request forgiveness if we have said anything that is out of the teachings of the acharyas in Krishna consciousness. And with that, we thank you all again for listening, for your time, and hope to see you again soon, I would say, and on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We would like to thank you, Ashramada Prabhu, for conducting the broadcast for today.
Yeah.
And also, I wanted to share one more thing, Prabhu. If you can go to uttamshloka.com.
Uttamshloka.com.
Yeah. One second. It's not Uttam Shloka. It's Learn Uttam Shloka, I think. Yeah, Learn Uttam Shloka.
Is it one T or two T?
No, Learn, LEARN, hyphen UTTAM
Yeah.
shloka.com. Yeah. Learn Uttama.
Uttama.
Uttama. Yeah. Uttamashloka.com.
Yes.
So this is a website that is put together by Radha Venkat Prabhu, one of our God brothers. And here you will find transliterations of Bhagavad Gita chapters, and they're in audible form. So if you click Devanagari or any one language, Prabhu, it will go show the thing. So like this, the audio and the Sandhi Vichedas are available for you to read along. And as our Guru Maharaj, His Grace Special Shikha Prabhu, always recommends us to at least read one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. So I found this as a very helpful resource. You can come in here quickly, listen to any chapters. They are basically sung with very good meters, and you can quickly do your daily sadhana from listening here. You can read along as well. So that was something that I wanted to share with you all. So take advantage of this. You can bookmark this link and listen to it. And there are other verses from select verses from Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and things like that as well. So you can try this. It helps me a lot. I mean, I can do my chapter quickly. 10-12 minutes is the maximum length. That is the longest chapter takes. Some of the smaller ones take even lesser time. So with that, again, thank you very much for listening. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you. We will now close the session for today's online session, and we'll have next one in Saturday morning. Haribo. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Haribo.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo